Well, happy Thursday, everybody. It is time for our Empowering Healthy Women 30-minute check-in. This is JoJo Bennington, and there's my beautiful partner, Liddy Flom. Say hi, Liddy. Each week we get together for a quick 30 minutes to check in and talk about girl stuff, talk about things that are going on, things that are important to us. As as women, yeah, we pick a topic. Who knows what it's going to be each week? It's kind of fun to see where it takes us and where we flow with. And um, so I have been reading Brene Brown and listening to her, and for everything from her TED Talks to her books to we did an entire retreat off of one of her books last year. I have been spending a lot of time listening to her thought processes and her thinking and her feelings about things. And so read her new book a little while back, have been listening to the audiobook just kind of on repeat. It's called Braving the Wilderness. And every time that I listen to even just a small piece of this book, it has such a profound impact on the way I feel about the things that are happening in the world and what touches my heart. And so for those of you who don't know me well, one of my 5 highest values is inclusiveness. And so what that means to me is that we are connected. We listen to each other. We never anyone is standing on the outside, that we go together. As we rise, everyone rises. That no matter size, color, belief, religious background, political affiliation, I don't care who it is, what's going on. Even if you're not. So no matter what, really on the outside, it doesn't matter any of those things, because I believe that what we all long for is human connection. And I believe that connection can heal. And so when we look at the climate that's going on in our world right now, and it just seems like every single day there's something else that makes it that one little bit of a notch, either worse or better, depending on how we choose to look at it. But we can sit back and look at the negative news, look at the things that are happening, look at the divisiveness in the country, at school shootings, at the debate between whether a gun is more important than a life. You know, these things that are really dividing us as people. And what I have seen and actually experienced over the last year is that due to our, I'm going to say a lot due to our social media use, that all of these things that used to go on inside of us privately and quietly in the corners of our own home now are blasted out across the internet. And now every single waking moment of thought is spewed onto someone else. And what that's done is now put us into a space where we faction ourselves off. So we search for a tribe, and we talk about it all the time. Find my tribe, find my tribe. And in doing that, we find a space where we surround ourselves with people who are comfortable, who are like-minded, who think the same way, speak the same way, act the same way, but we don't make space. We're starting to not make space for people who are not like, who we would not consider tribe. And we start to dehumanize. And I've seen it over and over. I mean, I have a friend who has been my friend for 20 years, no lie, 20 years, not an exaggeration, over political affiliation and just this ugliness that was being spewed out every single day, you know, I said, if this is really the way that you feel, is that how you feel about me? Because I believe this way and you believe that way. So is that how you feel about me? Well, this has turned into now a 20-year friendship where we did things together, went camping, like had social interaction, no longer friends, blocked. It's a crazy process. Like, won't have a conversation. Like, this is a ridiculous thing. But what we've started to do is dehumanize each other in a way that makes us right based on the tribe that we fit into. And so if you feel incensed by somebody calling somebody on, you know, on the right side, so a bad name or a foul thing, then you should feel just as incensed about that being said about somebody on the other side. Because it's not about who's right or wrong. It's about humanity. And it's not about the religion and the politics and the differences in guns and whether or not you believe that, you know, gay people should get married and all of these divisive issues. We lose in all of that the humanity of just the fact that we all just want to have a really awesome life and have connection and have love, be financially secure, be healthy, have healthy kids, have them grow up in a world where they're accepted. All of these things get lost in all of that. And one of the quotes that Brene Brown says is, it's sometimes the bravest and most important thing you can do is just show up. And so the question is how really are we showing up every single day? Are we showing up for people who are different than us? Are we just going, oh, well, that person is stupid because that's the way they believe? Or are we saying, tell me more about that, because I would like to understand why you feel that way or why you think that way? Because if we never take the time to understand what someone else is feeling or thinking, how can we ever see a different perspective? How could we ever be open to something that could possibly open our eyes to something new? We go through life guarded in the front and feeling totally vulnerable in the back and knives going in, instead of being the opposite way where we're totally open in the front and our hearts are open. And then we have all of these people standing behind us saying, don't worry, I have your back. It's a different space. And absolutely, Chris, there's no right or wrong. Everyone's experience and journey is unique. And for us to be able to appreciate and love each other at that level has to start somewhere. And whether or not I agree with how you think, how you live your life, what you do, I still believe that you have the absolute right to live your life the way you want, to love, to have all of the things that we all have. And for me to be connected to you, even though I may not agree, who cares? Who cares? Do we all have to be the same? Radical forgiveness sparks the greatest happiness. And you know what? One of the biggest things that we've been talking about this year is radical responsibility. Radical responsibility. Who starts? Who goes first? Who says it's enough? I'm just going to have a conversation with you whether we agree or not. We can agree to disagree without calling each other stupid in names and dehumanizing each other. We've come into this space where we have this huge feminine energy standing up in this power, and all of these powerful women standing up and just shining a light on how powerful we really are. But if we do that in a way where we lose our entire femininity, then do we just become all this masculine energy? And if you look around, you can feel it. There's huge masculine waves of energy going on. And in no way am I a feminist, but I believe that we have our own power in our own way. And when we support each other, male or female, and know that there's different roles and different energies that go on there never has to be this push and pull. It can be a flow. It's supposed to work together. It's not supposed to be like this. And I guess there really is no supposed to. They're just how it is and how we choose to see it. So those are just some of the things that I've been thinking about and noticing and feeling. And to be honest, I'm really tired of having things spewed out and me constantly having to either unfollow people, stop talking to people, because I feel it's no matter what, there can be no conversation. I can't even say to somebody anymore, so can you tell me more about that? Because then there can be no dialogue. You're just stupid on the other side. And that's not where I want to be every day. I want to be able to have friends on all sides, connection on all sides, to be able to understand the things that are going on in the world. Because if we don't, where do we end up? We end up factioned off with like-minded people and no one that thinks any different can get through. And I don't think that that's the way it's supposed to be. Supposed to. That's my thought anyway. So I would love to hear your thoughts or your feedback, and I would definitely recommend getting Brené's book, Braving the Wilderness, and either listening or reading, because it's been pretty interesting to think about how much belonging or not belonging has changed us. And when I listen to her stories, I think of all the times through my life where I either did something to belong or I felt on the outside and didn't belong. And now when people don't belong, they do unsavory things. I mean, before it was a completely different world than it is now.
Hey, Jojo, it's Laura.
Hey, you.
I had the gift to go to Brené's book launch of this book. And I've read it, and it's absolutely incredible. So I'm so grateful that you wanted to talk about this tonight, because it had such an impact on me. And I think that, when you talk about we all want to belong, and, a couple of the things that I got out of it were that, we all want to, that's a thing, right? That's a human thing that we need. And one of the things that she talks about is that, people's health, you're in better health, better physical health if you belong, if you're connected with people. And and I love her because she's a researcher, right? And I know you love her too, because you're a medical data lady. And she had even, I'm going to read something from her book. She said, research shows that playing cards once a week or meeting with friends every Wednesday night at Starbucks adds many years to our lives as taking beta blockers or quitting a pack a day of smoking habits. And that landed on me on so many levels. But one of the things is, like you talked about, the human connection, and you talked about social media. So our world, unfortunately, now stands behind social media to connect. And it's so important, as we always talk about, belly to belly, talking to people, seeing them, connecting with them is so good for us, not just mentally, but really, truly our health. So that was a big aha for me, is that social interaction. And then the other thing that I just wanted to share my aha was, when we talk about belonging, is that we do need to have that strength to stand alone. Because if we can stand alone, if we, like you were talking about with your friend, if we can stand by what we believe in and be confident of that and sincerely try to understand other people's point of view and be okay if that's different, be okay if we're that outsider, then we really do belong, because we belong to ourselves. We belong to our values. We belong to what we believe. And that connection will come even if we don't agree with that person, if they're willing to listen as well. But it's us taking that first step, right? Like you said, us taking that first step to seek first to understand. So I could go on, but those were two big things for me. But I would highly recommend this book to anybody. It was great. So thank you for sharing that tonight.
Thank you for sharing. And I'm totally jealous that you got to do that.
It was awesome. We had front row seats and everything. We had so much fun. It was great. Yeah. I mean, we lucked out. It was general seating. We just ran up and got the front row seats, but she was incredible. Yeah.
I'm putting it out into the universe that she at some point is going to be in my life in some way, shape, or form. I just want to have coffee with her. Thank you for sharing that. Chris, I love that picture of you. Liddy, did you? Oh, you got it. There you go.
So I just had this first opportunity to hear about this book tonight. And of course, I love books, and I am actually looking at all my books on my shelf. And I have to say that some of the things that you were talking about kind of have parallel from me. And I've studied a lot about Mother Teresa. And then Gary Smalley's book that talks about the languages of love. And I was kind of relating to what Chris was kind of dialoguing, while you were visiting Jojo. Because I think that some of the things that we talk about is that we lose our courage, right? And so somehow we feel defeated, and then we're our courageousness, and to be, okay with other people and draw out their courage and say, I'm just so proud. I'm so glad that you're just, so comfortable with how that is for you, and, and have the courage to actually, communicate it in that way. And if we could actually draw that out, like, acknowledge their courage, acknowledge their strength, acknowledge the expression of that feeling, that takes courage. So I always like to say, okay, then acknowledge, right? And sometimes I think that we know things, we think about the internet, and, I think that some people have even said to me, I could never be like you, Lee. And I'm like, great, so you don't have to be. And that means that you get to be the best that you can be. And if there were all Liddies, or all Jojos, or all Laura's, or all Renee's, or all Pegs, or Chris's, or whoever, we start looking at ourselves like, this would be a terrible, I would not want to live here, right? So I love the dynamics of people. And I think about Mother Teresa, because she just took people from where they were, and she just started languaging love. And Laura, just as you said, that belonging piece is sort of like that touch, human touch, words touch, like they leave some type of an impression, right? But words that we've been touched with, maybe similar words with a similar expression, but because something that happened left an impression, like beware, don't trust, that I can't go there. And when it looks like an invitation for freedom. So I just said to somebody today that was putting carpet in today, and I said, I just had an epiphany that everything is assets or liabilities, and that if we would look at everything like my body's an asset, and everything I put in, I have to question, is it an asset or a liability? Is it going to cost me? Is it going to depreciate or appreciate? And my words, are they going to be, depreciating somebody or appreciating somebody? And then I looked at my things I own. Like, does it have value? Will it appreciate in value or depreciate in value? And so I started looking at this thing that's my new conversation. It's just about assets or liabilities. And my own thoughts, is that an asset or a liability? And I just started asking myself, and I said, if I could draw up people's assets, and I say, well, and now I have that in my conversations. I just started using that because it just was like this week, like I'm in an asset business. That's what it is. And so if I could encourage, other people to kind of just look at it from just that simple analogy, that's what is the draw out. And the greatest gift of love, right, is to language love in the language of the receiver. So if we could just say, if we could have an asset or liability conversation, do you think that's an asset or a liability for you? If that's an asset, let's support it. Let's embrace that, right? And if it's liability, you're not sure, then let's do an inquiry. And so that were some thoughts that came to me tonight, sharing that. And maybe that's just some of that same parallel, because I haven't read the book, but braving the wilderness feels like courage, and feels like you don't want to be alone. You don't want to be alone, and everything's like, where am I going, right? So I want to have some vision, I want some clarity, and I want some belongingness. I want to touch something that's like, familiar. And so, thank you.
Thank you. Good. And words do have a signature for sure. Chris, do you want to add anything in? You've had such great comments.
Hi. Sorry, I'm kind of dark in here, but
no, you're good.
Yeah, I love this topic, and wow, like Liddy, those comments were just golden. And I need to save the chat, but I just think we naturally try to find people that are like us. Right? Like that's what makes us feel good. It makes us feel validated. It's like, okay, you're like me, which must be good. It's like so ego filled of like, now I'm around everybody that's like me. So these are my people because I'm right. So it means they're right. And it's just, oh my God, this learning of appreciation and acceptance of other perspectives. And God, how many times have I been bitten in the butt, from making a comment and not knowing the background, not knowing where they came from, why they have that perspective, why they're attached to those feelings, or it's just like, it's no different from me and why I'm so attached to my own. For someone to judge me or vice versa, it's just nonsense. So I love this, and to be able to I love, Liddy, what you said about, that bringing it to their language, because it's like, if that's how you understand love, like I'll come at you with what makes sense to you, because I am confident in what I believe in, what matters to me. And so I don't need to push it on you. I don't need to make you accept it. I don't need to make you be like me. Oh my God. Because I think about where I was a year ago, 2 years ago, which is so not where I am now, because of people that were accepting of all of my flaws. And anyway, that's it. Thanks. This has been great.
Thank you. And don't we all just want to be heard? We just want to be heard. And so opposing ideas or beliefs or not, to just say, tell me more about that, and help somebody feel heard. The connection can be there whether or not there's an agreement. I believe. And what a challenge for us to be able to put ourselves in that space and work through not feeling judgmental. Such a good thing.
Hi there. I wanted to.
Hey, you.
I haven't read Brene Brown's book, but Oprah brought Brene Brown to the surface. So I've seen her on Oprah, and she's really phenomenal. So it's really good. But I find out in this day and age that we've become so techie, like you said, that we don't do a lot of belly to belly. And connecting with people is so important because you learn something from everybody you talk to. So if you don't talk to people, you're missing out on something important that you could learn that day. And I've been finding out that between the frequency and the energy and the vibration changing, and a lot of that is going on now with all these these geostorms and solar flares and stuff that are hitting the earth, that the vibration of the earth is changing. And what I'm finding is if people don't change with the vibration of the earth changing, then it's going to be difficult for people to maintain their good balance here. So it's really important to talk to people and to share with people. And if people don't know something that you can share something with and tell them, it's a good thing. So it's really important to have that connection and just call people. I've been just calling people out of the blue, and I'm just calling to say hi or see how they're doing and whatever. And it's funny because it ends up in business sometimes. And I mean, that's not what I call the person for. I really call just to see how they were doing and stuff. But people miss that talking to people. And, it's nice to do social media and stuff, but I don't feel the connection like when you're talking to people and interacting with people, no matter who they are and what they know or what they don't know, because you always learn something. So that's my big takeaway. And it's good to get back to talking to people.
So agree with you. Thank you, Nanette, for sharing that. Oh, we miss out on the belly to belly, but I love this because this is almost the next best thing, right? Because we all are in a different place. Lydia's in Atlanta. Are you in Atlanta right now, Lydia? Lydia's in Atlanta. Mary's in Boston. Chris are you in North Carolina? She's in North Carolina. And look at, we have the whole United States going on one little thing. So what a cool way to actually connect, even though we're not really in the same room. So I love this. And thank you all so much for sharing and being on. And I did record it. So Mary, if you want to go back and listen, you're welcome. And so the book that we've been referring to is Brene Brown's Braving the Wilderness. And whatever she does, we did an entire retreat last year on the gifts of imperfection, and what an amazing book. So we've been working around Brene for a while, and going to continue to stay there. I feel good in her knowledge that she's at least leading in the right direction. Whether or not I believe everything she says, I feel it's in a really positive, good direction for us to start taking a look. So we are at time. Can you believe 30 minutes goes by so fast? So here we are, and we will see you all next Thursday. So if you guys, I think everyone's on the Facebook page, and if you're not, then please go to Empowering Healthy Women and hop in on the Facebook page so you can be connected there. And thank you all for all of your comments and showing up with your lovely selves. Have an amazing week. Kisses. Bye.